now. Okay, I think it's quite easy because I need to convince all the scientists here. But let's do it. Our main impact is industrialization of science will cause us will make bad science. Bad science is bad for the world, and I'll prove everything. But first, let's start with what is the scientific method. I'll start by talking about the scientific method and how it works and why it is so important that it works this way. I'll show you why the industrialization of science is tempting for good researchers, and this is causing us a really big problem for the science. And that's it, and I think it's enough to win. Okay, the scientific method. The goal of the research, the goal is to search for the truth. And this is the motivation for the researchers in here, in Weizmann and everywhere. How we do it, how we research the world. We count really with pure curiosity about how things work and why, and not how we can make money out of it, or how we can be applicable to anything. It's not a question that's leading the researchers. And how we do it by publications. Every result we have, we publish, so the whole world will see. It's not something that we keep to ourselves. We do peer-reviewed science. I can't say I found the cure for cancer without other scientists will see that the logic and the methods that I used are legit and really working. And we can do collaborations because we work together with other labs. We can do collaboration with other fields of research to make better science. And the motivation, again, is to research the world and how it works and not making money. And this is the main difference. Okay, what happens in the industry? As I said, the motivation is money and how you make money. You need to do things that are applicable, that you can sell. You have shorter periods of time than in the academy. You need you have to supply results. You get much more money because the high risk, high gain. So it really corrects to good researchers. It's tempting for them. So that they promise a lot more money, but the job is not secure because the company may fall because it's not secure as academy, and a new star scientist will appear, will just be here, and you'll be old and they'll replace you like things happen in the academy, in the world. So, or the company won't be funded anymore, and you'll lose your job. In the academy, you have a secure workplace, like you're either a student or a PI with a tenureship. But still, it is much more tempting for the researchers to go to the industry because of the big money, because of the PI.
Yeah, you're saying companies want to make money, like this is a bad thing. I think it's a good thing because they're actually producing products that the universe, like people need.
Yeah, they are looking how the science will be applicable, how we can make it something we can sell. And this is the core of my argument. It will cause them to do fast science, which is inherently bad science. Why? Because they don't have the time and the ability to fund many labs to research a lot of things that they can later collaborate between. So they need first to take the low-hanging fruits, the thing that it's easy to search and prove. They won't do really deep research to prove things that no one did. And in the world that I described, where it's so tempting to go there because they have a lot of money and your name will be much more known if you're there. People know Tesla much more than any researcher here, maybe other than it's unique. So it's really tempting because of the name, because of the money. A lot of good researchers will go. They'll take the low-hanging fruits instead of deep research, which is much more important, you can do collaborations. Another thing in industry is that you might you have findings, and if they're bad, you don't want to publish bad or like null results. I found that there is no effect. You won't do it, so you might hide things that are important, and then it's redundant. Other people will do it again and again. I found that there is no correlation between, I don't know, blue collar and being aggressive. No one will publish null result in the industry. I won't take another one. As opposed to in the academy that you publish also null results. And moreover, the good results you won't publish because you want to make money out of it. So you won't tell the world. In the academy, you must publish. That's the motivation. You do things to publish. You don't need to protect it so no one will steal your idea that will make a lot of money. You find something and you publish it, and this is the most important thing for the science to maintain and to progress. We need all the collaboration of all the scientists in the world to do the research and publish, and other researchers won't do the same thing again. Or they can build on some researchers that already found something and take like the other step. It's like you always standing on the shoulders of beginners, or however you translate it. Science must have the publication. And also the industry, in a way, it's really like it's built on the academy. They read science, they do research, סקר ספרות, literature research before they do. Without good academy, even the industrial won't be good because they won't collaborate. Like there's not the motive. And also the investors, as opposed to grant givers, the investors want to get back the money they invested. So you are מחויב to supply results instead of like you just you search and then you publish. Thank you. You need good science.
I will start in 3, 2, 1. Okay, I will begin with a little bit of framing on who are the people who are the scientists that will actually move into the private sector in this industrialization of science, why many scientists will actually stay in academia, and why in the fields of pure science, actually there won't be much hinderment of publishment and collaborations and things like that. And then I will talk about how in the more towards solution researches in engineering and in computer science and things like that, the industrialization of science will actually benefit people. Okay, so let us begin with stating that there are many advantages in staying in the academia. The main one of them is that the research in the academia is much more flexible. When a group leader gets his lab and things like and his job and things like that, he has the authority to decide what he is going to research. I mean, of course, that he is need grants and need to prove that his research is interesting in order to get funding, but he has the leeway to decide what he is doing. And he has the ability to do what he wants and what really interests him. On the other hand, as was said before, companies are interested in things that interest their products and things like that, and will restrict much more what a scientist can actually do. And in addition, a paper that comes from an institute is much more prestigious, meaning that a scientist that is looking for prestige, like showing a very big discovery, would like to come from an institute where the paper that is published says that this prestigious institute is the source of this article, will get much more reputation than one that his name comes with Google or Facebook in many fields of science. the main fields of science where that won't work are those where actually people benefit from the industrialization of science. And about those I will talk about, because the people who are dealing with the pure deep science of biology and physics and chemistry will stay in academia. The people who are going to move, scientists that are going to move, are those who are more leaning towards finding solutions and creating products, engineering, things like that. Those people will find in the private sector, in companies, much more funding. Companies usually can get bigger funding than a small research group. They can get better equipment. They can get more people to work together as a group. They can hire those scientists and entice those scientists that already are leaning towards those fields into coming there and actually get quality results because they have better equipment and better people collaborating together. Yes, Pio.
Why would a scientist prefer the prestige of one article over a house in the Maldives?
Okay, because not everyone wants a house in the Maldives. Some people want to say that they want a Nobel Prize. Some people want to say that they want their name to be written everywhere. They want a theorem with their name in physics or in chemistry. And that means so much more to them than a house in the Maldives or something like that. And they can deal well with the more modest salary of a scientist. As an example for how that concentration of good people and good equipment can actually lead in the right fields to good results, we just need to look into the fields of machine learning and, for example, quantum computing, where many good results, many breakthroughs are written under the names of Facebook, Alibaba, Google lately with their quantum computing breakthrough. And those fields benefit very well from that additional funding and the collaboration that they can create by hiring those good people together. In addition, the private sector, as was said before, is much more solution-oriented, and therefore those people, those scientists who are leaning toward finding solutions can go there, meet people with common goal to find solutions. Those for benefit, those in order to sell products, those in order to make the money under those companies, and therefore create direct science into a direction where it benefits people more directly, because it comes from companies whose goal is to make results that can benefit people in order to sell them and get that money. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So why is it that?
Okay. Sorry. Wait a minute. By that way, by that industrialization of science, we can get those engineers, those people who are already leaning toward helping create products and create solutions into the place where they can actually do more because they have money and have things, and where they have a common goal with the company and therefore have better chance to better the life of society as a whole. Therefore, we believe that the industrialization of science is a good thing, because those people who are leaning towards creating solutions and helping the benefit of society will find the collaborations, the funding, and the common goal with the company that will help them break through. For that, please oppose.
I will start. 3, 2. Finally, the way we are going to win this debate is by explaining you two main things. one is why having basic science in such a wide, let's say, why most of the science should be basic in order for us to get actual change in this world, medically and technologically wise. And the second thing is going to be why being in the industrial era is going to create bad solution, at best partial solution, that are going to actually cause more damage to patients than actual advantages to their condition. I will start by doing one, maybe two main rebuttals to OO. OO was trying, I went with this POI for a reason. Because even if some people want to be a Nobel Prize winners, then most people actually want to be able to sit at home and not worry about whether or not tomorrow they are going to be fired. People are driven with their jobs because they need the money more than they need the prestige. And this is why we believe that based on the characterization that Michal gave you of the industry, that more people, most scientists, will actually go to the industry because they have more money, they have more conditions, they don't have to work on a weekend because they're not a PhD student as we are. And this is the main reason that we think that the industrial era is bad and we are opposed to it. Because we want most scientists to go to basic science and not to be driven by not to be distracted by the industry. Now I'm going to explain to you why this basic science is so important to us. We need to understand, for each application we see nowadays, there is a massive base length under it, okay? If we're looking at, I'm going to go with cancer because I'm a biologist, okay? If we're looking at cancer treatments, then for errors, because we did not have the right base of what does it mean a cancer, like a tumor, we were aiming our targets against the tumors. And then only once basic biology was able to detect that there is a whole immune system going inside to the tumor and changing completely what the tumor is looking like to us, we understood that the target we need to focus on is actually the immune system. That means that having the understanding of a basic process, it's what we need in order to have a real application. Secondly, among those basic things, we could find application, but we need a lot of time. We need sometimes 10, 20 years in order to get something that is really significant and could change the world. And three, the fact that we are lacking this base is going to create inherent mistakes. For example, for years people have been using a certain, I don't know, base for vaccines, and then they found out, such as in the polio and things, that it could cause not autism. I'm not going to be speculative, but it could cause other problems. There are some research that show that like 30, 40 years ago, vaccines that has been done could initiate neurological problems later, not because vaccines are doing it, but because the certain ingredient in this vaccine. Why do we think that it's so important? And as I said, if we don't have the basic science, wait, I'm going to rephrase. If we don't have the basic science, then we won't have those applications later on. Why do we think that it's true? Because in the industry, everything is going to happen super fast, okay? We need results in order to show to our investors. We need to be able to sell our products to the industry so we could have all those people working for us. In academia, it's completely different. In academia, you have an industry. You have, an institute that gives you all the facilities you need, and you have grants. The difference between grants and investors is that grants is an amount of money that is given to you, and you can do whatever you want with it, and it won't be taken away from you unless you did like a massive fraud. So that means that you have the freedom to actually do and explore and do real science. Additionally, with grants, all you need to show is potential. With investors, as you go along the industry, you need to show results. Since we need to show results, it means that the choice of projects that I'm going to choose will be as follows. I'm going to choose, as Michal said, low-hanging fruits. What does it mean? It means something that looks pretty. It looks like the best thing in the world, but at the end, it's just a tiny seed or a tiny apple that is in a sea of, I don't know what. Secondly, we're going to do something that is called renovating ideas, okay? We're going to take something that is existing and then change it slightly, meaning that we won't actually deal with why this thing originally was failing. A good example is CAR-T, again I'm going with cancer, CAR-T treatment, which is a sort of engineering cells in cancer. Every single industrial company is doing the same type of cells, ignoring the fact that there is a buttload of things in the immune system that we completely are unaware of. That means that we will forever have mostly those type of cells and not the basic biology that is going to change. And thirdly, we're going to choose things that are quick. that we can get quick results, even if they are not big, even if they are not massive, if it's going to improve one person's life, we're going to grow with it. And what are we going to do with it? We're going to sell it, we're going to advertise it, we're going to go to the investors, we are going to go to the press in order to get other investors, we are going to show them that this tiny thing that I just found is the biggest thing. It's the biggest thing that I could ever think of. And those investors, they are not scientists, they are not peer reviewers like in our world of academia. They are people that are not necessarily know what they are talking about, and therefore they are going to roll with us, and we are going to keep doing this. And since industrial is going to be so, as time will go by, industrial science is going to be so common that most people will believe that this tiny cell that I've just generated is the best thing in life. Yes?
In your world, who will actually make the products for the people?
We believe that in both worlds you have industry. We're talking about industrialization of science, okay? We still think that you will have applications. Also in Bytes when you have applications. What is the difference? Those applications are things that you can trust. Okay, there are things that people have spent 10 or 15 years in order to understand. On top of those things, you have basic science that will help people in the industry. But making the industry the main thing in science world is the problem we are talking about, because we believe that those products that we are going to be, they are going to be false advertisement, and then you're going to have a result for a tiny little thing that will not actually solve the problem, as I mentioned with the cancer. And I also want to emphasize regarding the sharing information. In academia, when you publish an article, you have to publish the methods, the technology, the basic proof of concept. In the industry, you do not have to publish that. You have to publish your result, and that's okay. But since you have those patents and everything and you don't share it, that means that many people are going to spend most of their science time on doing this proof of concept and not developing the world ongoing forward. That means that within 20 years, instead of having a buttload of applications, we're just going to have the same cell treating no cancer. But we're going to hear about it on the news anyway. Thank you.
Hi, thank you, Stephen, for fine speech. You're happy to call on the DLO to continue that opposition in this debate. Here,
I'm going to start. So, first of all, I want to say thanks to my opponents, OGs, that actually wasted a lot of time to explain why basic science is important. We are not refuting it's important. We think it's very important. We think the industry is important also. And it won't come one on the other. And that's our point. So I'm going to talk more, first of all, complete a bit of what Noam tells, why people will actually stay in the academia, and second of all, why it is so important that we'll have research in the industry and why is it good for us. So, my first thing that I'm going to say, like I said, is about why people will take it. Noam already said it is more flexible, it is also more interesting, it is more prestige. All of these things are really, really important. And then Shahar came and said, why do I want like a place in the Maldives? Most scientists, even out of academia, don't have a place in the Maldives. It's that they do get more money, but in a lot of places, the amount, it's not that you don't get in academia enough money to properly stay in place. So this is first of all, we don't argue that you get more money, but we do think there is lots of advantages to people staying in academia. First of all, you are your own boss. You need to show the research, but once you have tenureship, and also Michal showed us that it's not stable to be in the industry, in the academia, when you have tenureship, when you are already there, you can pretty much do whatever you want. Like you, after 5 years, if you got tenureship, now you can research what you want. You need grants, you need to get, but you can go to a different field. My PI started from chemistry and now he's studying biology and evolution. Not he can do that because he can do go to whatever interest he wants. And that is something that is very important to a lot of people. People want to do something that they enjoy, something that they think is important to the world. And if a person thinks that the industry is not important enough, he won't go there, even if it's a bit more money. So that is why people will actually stay in the academia. Why it is so important that we will have the industry? So in the government world, the academia makes basic science, and that's it. Who's the one that will take this chemical that I found and will make it into a drug? Who is the one that will take the way that I found how to research neurons in AI and will make it to an actual AI, and will use it for different methods and different stuff. Like somebody who needs to take what happens in the academia and make it into a product. There has to be somebody to do that. And who does that? Okay, I'm not going to tell you later. The person who will actually going to do that is the industry. The companies that are going to do that is the industry. It's true, they will take the low-hanging fruit, but we need the people that will take this low-hanging fruit. Why? Because to get to know, for example, like that Shahar gave us about understanding the immunology system, that took around 80 years to find, and about the drugs that we're giving to help and to kill the tumor itself, that take 5-10 years, and people got better. It wasn't a perfect fit. There is better solution, but people got better. We got solutions for the people now and not in 80 years, which we argue is a better fit. So true, they need really to get results. True, they will take the things that are easier and can give results, but why is it bad? And that's what OG didn't mention. Yes?
Yeah. Do you think it's actually more likely for your problem solvers to get hired to help humanity, or to get hired by Facebook and the military-industrial complex to manipulate people and make weapons?
I think you will have both. And I don't think, and in our world, it's okay. Like, it's not that you have, everybody will go to Facebook and make war, and it's not that everybody will do basic science. The comparative, actually, academia doesn't have that many places. Like, it's people that actually go to academia, at some point they don't have any job, and then they just won't use their skills for anything. So I don't understand how, like, in your world, I don't understand exactly, like, what's the exact benefit. Because we show, like I already said, we need some companies to take the product, the basic science that is made in academia, the small solutions that have potential and can be manufactured as drugs, as prosthetics, as everything, all the advances that we have. We need somebody to make that. And the researchers that academia is not good for them, or just want a bit more money, they will go to this kind of research, but we still will have the basic science. And not all companies are bad, so maybe some companies will go to war, but a lot of them won't. Like a lot of the companies are doing. I know a company that trying to figure out how to use AI to discover different diseases, how to make prosthetics, how to how to make a rice that has a vitamin inside. All of these things happen because of companies that took something that was in academia and used it as a product. And that's why we oppose. Thank you.
I thank the speaker for a wonderful speech, and I now to call upon the government, member of government. So I start in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so opening governments tells us that those researchers in the digital companies will take the low-hanging fruit and we get really shallow research. We think that's really correct and it's a nice case, but we also think that it's important to state that also researchers can be tempted to those companies to do a research that can harm humanity and can do damages, and I will explain a couple of them sooner. Another thing is that they didn't answer one of the main opposition case, which was that the scientists that will leave the academic to go to these private companies are the problem solvers and are the people who want immediate results and interested in those immediate implications. We think that even if opposition's case stands and the people who will leave to the industrial companies, then the research won't succeed, because research is not immediate. You don't get an impact. If I think I want to invent a bulb, I won't succeed if I just will think all day how I invent a bulb, and I will look for all the ways to invent a bulb. Usually in science, the really big breakthrough came from taking a couple of conclusions from really different areas and combine them together to get this big breakthrough. For example, to invent the bomb and to invent most of our most famous weapons didn't come from the army industry. It come from some scientists who searched from some chemical that wasn't told me in the prep and I forgot because I'm not a chemist. But they wasn't really searching for the bomb. They were searching for something else, and it came by just as a side result. And also, like the AI that some of the groups mentioned, they combine brain research and biology and computer science all together. And the people who invented it took a lot of research that was really from different areas. And if the company just would think about inventing AI, they will never succeed. So also, even if the scientists will leave, we will lose really small scientists who wants to problem solve, but doesn't even have the peer review and the more knowledge, and they won't have the collaboration, and they won't succeed solving the really big breakthroughs, and we have less breakthroughs and less good science on our side. So this is the answer to first opposition that first government didn't tell us. And also another thing is that we want to add another impact. Okay, so the big impact in science comes from really inventing a new method, really changing the method. And when you go to the private market, you most of the time focus on the single person of the first consumer, the single consumer. Why is that? Because you can sell to more people and get more money. But the real impact comes from changing the method, which means selling to hospitals, selling to big industries, and changing the machines we use and the equipment we use. And why the private sector and the private market usually don't focus on hospitals and those industries? Because for hospitals, it's really hard to sell. It's a lot of bureaucracy. You need to go through a lot of rules and to stand for a lot of tests and checks, and it takes years and years to have medical approved equipment. And for industries, most industries don't want to replace their whole the whole machines, because it's really expensive, takes a lot of time, and it's really risky to have a whole new machine. You can lose a lot of money. And even medicine, okay, you throw it in the air like a big impact. To sell medicine, you need to get it approved, and it's really hard to get it approved because you need to wait years and years to sell it. And most of the time, the really famous medicine comes from all the collaboration between universities and then a little bit of industries, because it's really risky, and most of the time it's not worth the risk to the inventors. So they usually focus on the private market. So we're talking about really small changes, like maybe you take this painkiller, which have a really small impact and really fast to get approved, or maybe you have this cream, facial cream, cosmetics, cosmetic research, food research. You know that Michal is really searching for materials and more stuff, and if she will go to a private market, she can work for those industries like McDonald's and sell and invent a really tasty hamburger. It will really reuse of her skills in a really bad way, which takes me to my second point, which we can use also those researchers who leave the academic field for a larger salary and use their skills for bad. And why is that? First of all, the use in social media and advertising. You can use psychology students and researchers to find a better way to seduce them to stay a lot of time in Facebook. And Facebook do have those researchers that convince you to stay more time in the app and buy more stuff and get you advertised. So they make people lose money and get addicted to those apps. Also, the industry that are researching ways to have more eBay, like more clothes per day, which harms their a lot of underpaid employees, and it's really, really bad. Also, we have those Volkswagen incident was on news, but they use their scientists to fake the results of their cars to show that they don't harm the environment as much, and they fake their pollution test so they can sell more cars and invest less money in the research that helps to have less pollution. Another thing is that cybersecurity and the chemical weapons industry is really, really powerful and have a lot of money, and a lot of private sectors sell to those, and it's really tempting. So, to summarize, and another example is that the industry of food. You use a lot of scientists to invent those addictive snacks we eat, the methanium glutamate effect that you want to eat more and more and more. A lot of scientists go to this field because it's really a lot of money and it's really tempting, really nice job, but it also causes us to have all those disease and obesity. So, what we're giving you in this debate, we're giving you not only a bit of less deep science, deeper science and quick science, because the quick science have good impacts as well, because they sell it to someone, right? This is the second opposition case. If you sell it to someone buys it, it's good. But it's not always the case. Sometimes you buy things that is bad for you in the long way, like we state to you in the example of harmful science. Another thing is that also you don't have a change of impact with the whole method. You don't change this way via the industry. You don't focus on changing the whole impact. And also, the science isn't immediate. You don't focus on one problem and then you solve it. You need the whole community to solve those big problems, and we don't get it if those science problem solvers are living for the industry. So we'll call you to support.
I thank you, Peter, for your participation, and Patrick, call upon the member of opposition.
Just a second. Okay, right. I am going to start in 3, 2, 1. First, I'm going to do a short rebuttal to the evil industry point of evil companies that are doing bad science, objectively bad, because the weaker point, they just want to make sure it doesn't stand. The weak will continue for better rebuttals. Then I'm going to talk about our main point, which is why we actually going to have a better academia in our world, which is basically we're going to do so simply by being comparative which government will achieve everything to this whole debate. So let's start from the short debate about evil industry. Chemical weapons, atomic bomb, A-bombs, AI that can track people, all those things have been developed in the academy. Scientists have developed master guides in order to kill people in World War I. Einstein took part in the Manhattan Project that caused the A-bombs that killed thousands of people in Japan. Not to mention that chemical weapons are illegal and you don't have a rich industry of chemical weapons unless you are a dictator in Syria, and then you are not in this debate. Second, once an article paper is published, everyone can use that data. So if a scientist does something in the academia, and that's something from basic science, you don't know which impact it's going to have, then you're going to, companies can use that data in order to do it for their evil schemes, whatever they may be. And also, the fact that this argument is also non-comparative, Google and Facebook, their developer people who didn't got a degree. Those companies that gain money from your privacy were developer people who didn't have like an advanced degree, not all people who ran from the academia. And as such, women companies are likely to exist in both worlds because the world as wars and the government wants weapons, and as such, we are not going to see a decrease in the number of weapons in either worlds. So all of these points are also non-comparative. Now let's talk about our point. Why this is not an act of motion? Let's think about it from the perspective of a young person who just came and need to decide their trajectory in life. In one side, they have the academia, and while the open position gave us the good things, let's also talk about the bad things that could influence your part of making the decision. The academia has much more limited budget in terms it can pay your fellowship or salary in a much better way. Also, in the academia, your research depends on grants. So even if you want to do something which is interesting and good, you need to deal with a lot of bureaucracy, talk with donors. There are also biases that can affect your research because you need to fit your research to gain funds from the donors. You need also to always spend time on writing papers and also need to teach all the time. And while there is like a point where your lives are like beautiful and you can do whatever you want when you get tenureship, most scientists don't have tenureship. So let's talk about the young scientists who need to get to this point, and also because the only way to get tenureship is wait for a professor to die, it means you're going to have much harder time to advance in the study. Also, there is a point about the fact that you, as a person, may think about the fact that this research is basic science and doesn't going to have major impact, and you want to do something important. So this is a very talented person who look at the academia, and that's the downside that they see. What about the industry? In the industry, they think they're going to get a much higher salary. So of course, so they have a much higher quality of life. They are going to understand, they also know that the industry understands what people want. They can walk about case of creating better computers and better AI and better technology for people. They can go to the families and say, I work on synthetic meat and I'm going to help people eat synthetic meat or redefine meat or help people move to veganism. I can also work on medicine in the industry and say I'm saving people's lives while I'm working on medicine, or working on green energy and preventing global warming. So as a person who is very talented, who wants to think, I have a much way to get a greater impact if I'm working on the industry. Not only that, my ability to progress and get promotions and get higher salary is greater in the industry because I'm not depending on tenureship. And that's my life quality is going to be higher, and that's another incentive for me to go to the industry. And finally, in the industry, in the same company, we have a lot of scientists who work together. So as such, my ability to actually cause an impact is much greater because a lot of scientists work together. Don't like think that someone is going to scoop the research, because collaboration is rational, but you always think that someone is going to take away from you and steal your research beforehand.
What is the incentive of a company to find a biological process that you cannot yield money from? For example,
thank you very much. No, they don't have any incentive to get something that they don't get money from, but they do have incentive to take basic science and transform it into something that you can make money from. For example, in order to reproduce cells in the lab, you say, okay, it could be about organs, or it could be about making food that you don't need to kill animals from, or many other things, but the scientists thought about how to replicate cells in the lab, this is just for their curiosity. And as such, we actually need those two to work together. Now, competition, that's what it called. From the academic point of view, it's going to be a competition for the academy in the industry. That means the academy it is forced to become more efficient, to have much less strict bureaucracy in order to people to improve, to try and get more money and pay more money for the people who are working there, and to open more positions in order for people to actually to stay in the academia, not run away for the industry, and eventually also open conditions for better conditions for jobs. For example, they are going to allow people to work in startups while being still by impact in academia, which is something that they do now, but the academy would have preferred them to invest all of the time in the academy because they want them to invest all of the time in the academy. Now they have more options because they know that they can't just lose those people to the industry. As such, what we have that in a comparative, the academy lacks incentive in order to become more efficient. It is controlled by the tenureship and older generation that particularly decides their way of, decides the hierarchy in the academy. It relies on the fact that scientists work for the curiosity and the feeling of prestige in order to pay them less and also have limited budget, and as such have less incentive to get budget. In the comparative, less people are going to go to the academy without instruction of science, simply because they have a way to gain a lot of money without doing a degree. They're going to, so they're going to, for them to go to Facebook and Google, etc., without needing a degree. The academy also will have a problem. The method academy has a problem to, even if they go to the first degree in chemistry, you need to move them to advanced degrees, like master and PhD, where the research actually takes place. Because even if a scientist comes and they do only a master or a PhD in something, they still advance the subject, the basic subject that they work on for a few years. They actually contribute, they actually pen papers, and then they move to the industry and actually, and then help them, so they have to advance the science, and without it, we have less scientists who are willing to sacrifice 7 years of their lives in order to become part of the academy without actually getting benefit from the industry. And we simply win it because we are showing that we get better products for all of humanity. You get better research in the academy, and we also get better life quality for the scientists. And that's where the largest delta in this room, not to mention that we are only ones who are comparative. Thank you very much.
I thank the speakers for a wonderful speech, and I'd like to call upon the government whip to conclude the evidence in this debate. Here, here.
Okay, I will start in 3, 2, 1. Shachar tells you a lot of times the word comparative, but it doesn't make his case comparative. Let's start. Okay, so first things first, a bit of rebuilding. So, all of the weapons, like the atomic bomb, were developed through the academy. Well, the atomic bomb itself is kind of semantics, because essentially it was developed by the army, but due to like government funding. But if we talk about a bit more recent stuff, like literally the whole military-industrial complex, it's the industrial complex, as it's literally in the name, okay? Stuff like Agent Orange, which is literal chemical warfare used by the United States very recently. Stuff like drones, which are designed mostly to either assassinate or otherwise hurt many, many people. Stuff like other weapons and other cybersecurity exploits, and all of these things are things which just don't happen in the academy and only happen in the industry. That's what we tell you. Now, yeah, let me just speak more about that. So, essentially in the academy, because it's such like open science and stuff like that, you can't really do this sort of thing. You can't like search for weaknesses and search for ways to harm other people like officially, because like, you know, in the end you publish this stuff. You can't just publish like chemical warfare, or sorry, Agent Orange, which is obviously just a defertilizer, like online or in any kind of public forum. That is only something that happens in the military. We tell you this is like a bad thing, and this doesn't generally help anyone apart from like militaries and companies. Yeah, there won't be any less weapons. Let's just kind of show you how there will be less weapons. If only one place has the interest and the ability to develop weapons, then obviously when we put more like skilled people there, especially if actually oppositions like have to essentially say that skilled people are going to be there, obviously there are going to be more weapons and more efficient weapons there, also like cyber weapons and stuff like that. I will work as a citizen on like good big things like cultured meat and so on. Well, a few rebuttals about that, and now it's rebuttals and not rebellion. So, first of all, we think that generally, like, these good companies that are so nice to, like, tout as this sort of thing which is really nice, are just not comparative and not really the likely case, right? Most of them are either one, non-profits, or two, like, really small businesses. Not only that, the only reason they actually could happen is because academia, where stuff which isn't profitable is still researched, actually research them. We think that for every one person that works in this cultured meat thing, like 10 jobs are open in Coca-Cola for more pay, which mostly just like focus on making Coca-Cola more addictive and less like healthy for everyone. like not obviously to harm people, but making it more addictive is something that is not positive. Now, let's talk a bit about our case and tell you why these things are so endemic. This is essentially our case. We tell you three things. We tell you, one, we think that it's not really possible to research directly things which benefit humanity, right? We tell you this because essentially you need, in almost any kind of actual breakthrough that is not designed to harm people but to help them, there is a problem that is very hard that we would like to solve, and the only way to solve it is looking at it through a new angle, right? As Fernand told you, you actually need to look at, for example, AI in the, through the lens of biology and through the lens of linear algebra to get deep learning, which is a really good tool. You need, for example, to create new surgeries most of the time to look at surgeries in from other places. Or, I don't know, developing general relativity from geometry, though I guess that's less useful. Okay, so secondly, we tell you that, and this is another essentially rebuttal, or at least something that answers second opposition's case, that generally companies, even if they do seek profits, and even if they could do this research in a good way, which obviously they can't, we also just tell you that most companies just don't focus on what actually helps the most people, but instead are focused on the specific consumers. And generally consumers are, one, not the most important thing, right? For example, marketing to hospitals is harder, but hospitals obviously benefit much more from, for example, new treatments and so on. It's just that the bureaucracy of getting something through their gates is something that is less, harder for a company to do in any kind of amount of time. And, yeah, and okay, and the final thing we tell you, which I've kind of just rebuilt, is we're telling you that probably the new researchers that are on this side of opposition working in the industry and are not working in the industry on our side are probably researchers who are not inherently super needed in the industry, but instead the researchers which are probably focusing on not the most super important stuff, because on both sides of the house there are some researchers in each place, but instead researchers which the industry could use. These researchers, as we told you, are probably going to go towards things which are profitable, but are probably making harm. Making harm is much easier than making benefit, right? That's why the military-industrial complex is huge and the military-altruistic complex does not exist. I'll take first, okay.
So the industry can use existing relations for good or bad, regardless if there is research in the company itself.
Okay, as I just told you, the only way to actually get research that helps you do bad things, the main way to do research that helps you do bad things is not through academy, because through the academy you normally don't have any kind of way, any kind of motive, any kind of support or so on to actually do these bad things. This is what Colin tells you, this is rebuilding that actually answers second opposition, and so on. Now, yeah, the research is not really beneficial. Finally, let's just answer second opposition before I do a really big, basic weighting against everyone. So the last thing that second opposition tells us is that this will somehow make the academy more efficient, because now the academy will have more interest to keep workers in academy. We think that the academy already has a lot of interest to be the most efficient and most attractive to researchers, right? There's a lot of competition between different academies. We don't think that the fact that workers can now go to an even, another avenue will cause the academy to become even better, because the academy cannot get any better, right? It would take massive work, and we think it's unlikely. So, finally, we think that researchers going towards the industry are going to mostly cause more harm, are going to be incredibly inefficient, and just cannot research well. Yeah, please support the movement.